Hi, this is an example of how to use one of the GeoGebra templates that we'll be posting to the Imvoto blog. In this case, it's a right angle triangle template, so we can create any right angle triangle with angle sizes or length sizes that we desire. Those of you familiar with GeoGebra will recognize the left-hand side, the algebra view, and the right-hand side of the graphics view. But the big thing to point out here is that when we finally export this image, the only part that will be exported is what you see in white. And when we finally export the image, the red dots as well, the red crosses will disappear. Now, the right angle triangle I want to produce for a question I'm writing is for a question on trigonometry. I want to give the students one marked angle and one marked side, and their task is that they're going to work out this unknown side here. Now, to create this, I'm going to go to my template. Now, clearly, there's a lot of stuff here that we don't need because there's multiple angle measurements, there's multiple side lengths. What I'm going to do first off is I'm going to move my triangle so that it is in roughly the same sort of position I want it to be. Now, one thing to notice here is, as I change the lengths of these sides, you'll see on the left-hand side that GeoGebra is working out what the actual angles are and what the side lengths are. But the actual markings in my diagram are not changing, and that's because these diagrams are overridden. So I've manually said that this is 6 centimeters when in fact this side is actually 6.3 long. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the markings I don't want. Now, I don't, in this particular question, want pupils to have vertices A, B, and C marked. So I'm going to each in turn, and I'm right-clicking and I'm unticking the fact that this object is showed. Now, there's an alternative way of doing this, which is the little icon next to each of the labels. You can click those and it will remove them. So, for example, I don't want this side length, this root 61, so I'm clicking the little icon next to it. I don't want the one that says 40 degrees. And also, because this is the side I want them to calculate, I'm going to hide this one as well, and I'm going to replace it with one of these kind of extra measurements, and I'm going to bring that and drop it in here. Now, my 50 degrees, I actually, in this particular question, wish this to be 47, so I'm going in to change it to be 47 degrees. And I also want this side length here that at the moment is 5 centimeters. In my question, I want it to be 12.3 meters. And if I come in, I'll change the 5 to be 12.3. But you'll notice here it says units, and it's kind of in this this box. This means it's been filled in from somewhere else, and you see here in the preview that this units has been replaced by centimeters. Now, the units is set in a single place, and you can see here up in red, this is the unit measurement. Now, this extra code here is necessary to get the units to be formatted correctly, but we can just go in and change this meters to the centimeters to meters. Okay, so I've got my 12.3 meters, I've got my 47 degrees, and I've got my unknown length that it's the task of pupils to find out. Now, I'm going to try to make my triangle grow a little bit to make it fit into the viewport here that will eventually be exported. But also, I'm just going to check a couple of things. I mean, this angle in particular, I don't want this one to be marked, so I'm not going to show it. And so all I've got now is I've got my right angle measurement, I've got my 47 degrees, which actually in reality is 49 degrees, but this is not a bad thing because I do want this diagram not actually drawn to scale. So I have my triangle, I've got my measurements, and I'm happy with this. I'm going to export it. Now, before I do so, I don't want these red little dots to be exported. This one, for example, here lets me just move the window around so I can fit it perfectly. And if you have a scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and out to get a particular triangle to fit accurately. Alternatively, you can use the zoom in and out functionality here. Now, I'm ready to export this, so I'm going to untick this. It will remove all of the red bits and pieces, but still, it's only what was in that white window that's going to be exported. Now, to export it, I would go to File, Export, and I'm going to export this as a PNG. Now, this particular image, even though I've said that I only want it to be 200 by 300 pixels, you'll notice here that it's rather a lot larger. Now, this is not a problem because whilst most mobile phones are only 320 pixels wide, their actual screen has much better density than that. So we can afford to export it at a higher resolution, and it will look much more crisp on the screen when it's reduced in size down to 300 pixels. Now, when I save this, I'll be asked for where to save it. I'm going to just drop it onto my into my folder here, and now this image is ready to be uploaded and used as part of your question.